Hey everybody, we're going to do number 26. Let's begin by looking at the book and a couple of the patterns as listed in the book. I'm going to start by looking at number 3 for a moment. And this was pointed out to me by my friend Jonathan Antunez. You notice for 3A it says dark peacock's harl. Okay, now let's go to number 26. It says for the body, peacock's tail. Not the same language, and so what is that material? Let's look at number 3A here for a second, and you can see that there's dark herl there, and Cutcliffe talks about matching hackle with body color, and this is something Jonathan pointed out to me that makes us feel that, you look at that black-red hackle for 3, and it matches the color of the body there. Now the hackle for 26 is a rusty blue, right? So here's kind of a rusty blue feather, or what might be. So what did I do? I contacted my favorite feather merchant, Steve Cooper, at Cooks Hill, and presented this dilemma with him, and he felt it was this feather. This is a peacock tail feather, what he calls a support feather, and this is behind the flashy herl eye portions of the feather. You can see the color has that bluish rusty tinge to it, and the length of the fibers you can see are not too far off from, say, a pheasant tail or a heron herl, which Cutcliffe does have in a pattern as wrapped around the body. And again, if matching colors or shades in similar fashion is Cutcliffe's style, I think this is what he's referring to as the tail material. Could be completely wrong, but that's my guess, and that's what I'm going with. So let's begin here. And if you followed my prior video, you'll also notice that the color of the silk is slightly off. This is the straw color that was sent to me by Mr. Bailey, so is a better match for probably what he used. Now twist here, again, I don't have a true vintage twist from the 1800s, but we're going to use Lagartin French oval tinsel. The twist of that day would have been round, not oval, but here we go. Hackle color. A little bit challenging here again. Here's a Collins grade 3 rooster cape that he calls rusty dun. You can see that bluish rusty tinge throughout. Here's my favorite feathers, Cuello, which are neck feathers from Gallo de Leon, and this is also a rusty tinged blue. I'm going to use that one just because I love those feathers, and we'll go from there. We saw that in the collection of feathers that Paul Gaskell published in the second edition of his book on Cutcliffe, what might be, an idea of the type of feathers that Cutcliffe used. I think the Cuello feathers match that a little bit better than the genetic capes of today. Color-wise, though, that Collins might be a little bit more like what he had. So, I'm still going to go with the Cuello. And so here I'm pulling off a bunch of fibers from this peacock tail feather. And you can get these from Cooks Hill, Steve Cooper in the UK. And just tying it in by the tip, working the silk forward. And then I'm going to wrap it like you would pheasant tail, heron herl, even peacock herl. We're just going to do touching turns up here and maybe slightly overlapping as we get closer. And but the natural shape of the feather does get fatter and wider as you get more towards the butts, so you do get a little bit of a natural taper. It started to separate on me there, which I didn't want, and I wanted to just bulk this section up slightly, so did a few wraps, and we'll just trap those down and then cut them off. The color looks kind of gray here, but it really is kind of a slightly rusty blue, a rusty gray. And here's that oval tinsel, which is going to be my silver twist, wrapped up. I'm working with a really bright light here, so yeah, I'm sorry about that. The colors do wash out a little bit, but when we take a picture of the fly, hopefully we capture a little bit more of what's going on color-wise. And I'm tying in that hackle by the tip here, and again, I double it on the hook while it's tied in. You could double it ahead of time. That's up to you. And I'm gonna do some open spiral wraps through that little bit of the thorax zone until I get to the front of where I ended that herl, and then I'm gonna do touching turns, a couple touching turns, tie off, and clip away that excess piece, and we'll take a look at the finishing steps here. Looks like people have been liking the curling of the hackle, so I'm going to do that on this one, just adding a little bit of wax. Again, that's from Mr. Bailey. You can get his wax at Feathers MC, along with a lot of other of his recreations of vintage materials. And just removing the wax there, and that's the fly. I'm going to do that divide thing and curl thing. I honestly don't normally do it for my own fishing because, you know, when the fly gets wet, it just straightens back out. We don't know whether Cutcliffe regularly curled it with a penknife on the stream or not, but there you go. There's the fly. There's the colors a little bit better, and hope you enjoyed that. Take care. Bye.